see. Meeting is now streaming live. But it's so, because like the lag, I don't know if everybody's does this, but the lag is just so. Oh, we are live. Okay. Hello, everyone.
Meeting is now streaming live.
Oh,
but it's so, because like the lag.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 6. So I just returned from a big trip, and so we're going to keep this short because I'm still recouping. Maggie's had a lot of stuff going on in her life, so we are still recouping and laying low, but we wanted to come on and give you guys a short Raw Wednesday. And so in episode 6 today, we are going to talk about walking your own future and finding your own path with integrity, responsibility for yourself, and love. And so for those of you who are new to our channel, welcome to Wednesdays with Ra. We do usually do a lot of channeling, but these last 2 times we haven't been, just because we have a lot of stuff going on, and we've been doing our own, walking our own paths, and we've been kind of put in this like little protective bubble where our channeling abilities aren't 100% at the moment because everybody's being very protective. And so okay, so now that we did that, so when we were discussing what we were going to talk about today, and the 3 of Wands came up. And so those of you who know tarot know that wands are all about fire, this primordial energy, spirituality, determination, strength, creativity, ambition, expansion. And so we're going to really kind of focus on this whole expansion. And then when I asked what else are we going to talk about, we got this card, this 104, which is leaving home card. It's an Essassani card. So for those of you who don't know who the Essassani are, let me just give you a little bit of background. So they are a hybrid species where it's the Zetas, the Greys, and the humans, and they came together to make the Essassani. And at one point, the Essassani, because they became their own species, their own race, they had to decide how they were going to hold themselves, be themselves, handle themselves, and what was unique to them. And so they, after a lot of work, they had this whole leaving home moment where they were in one place in the beginning, but then they had this evolution and they kind of became their own race. And so that's where the human collective is right now. We're at this precipice of this evolution, but in order to move to the next phase of this evolution, the human collective, it's interesting because you talk about the human collective, but each person within that human collective has to make their own stand for who they are and what they believe in and how they want to be and all that stuff. But together, there's going to have to be choices made. And the only way to move forward is to live in your integrity, to take responsibility for yourself and your actions to others and how you treat the planet, and consciously ask questions along the way and learn. The moment you shut off your questions, the moment you just blindly step into something, that's when you can teeter and start falling backwards. And I think it's very obvious very obvious. This is my personal opinion. I'm going to just preface that. When you look at all these different, I don't even know what to call it, like spiritual collectives and the people within them in this world, you can kind of tell the ones who step out of their comfort zones because they're asking questions and because they're taking responsibility for their feelings and stuff that's happening around them. And then you can kind of tell the other ones who just blindly follow. Someone tells them, this is what we're doing, this is what you believe, and they're like, all right, I'm totally on board, I'm not going to ask any questions. And so we really want to gear everyone who is listening to this to the other side, where we want you to continue asking questions and feel with your hearts for what's right with you, which may not be somebody else's world. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the only way that we as a collective are going to step into this next portion of expansion for the planet is if we are constantly aware and taking responsibility for ourselves and our actions and our thought processes, and doing it in integrity while still walking your own unique path, but doing it in a way that's not going to lessen somebody else who may not have the same thought process or the same world as you. Do you want to add anything to that, May?
Yeah, I think that was beautifully said. And Ra he's especially pushing these days. Sorry, I think that was my dog. You need to be you, who you are in this incarnation. A lot of people ask a lot of questions about who I was in a past life, who I'm connected with in this life, what souls from my soul family are bonded with me now, who am I going to meet, what am I going to do, this kind of thing. And it's important to know those things sometimes. If you find out that you were an aspect of Athena in a past life and you learn about that now, then that's helping you build your strength and your resilience for the person that you are now. A lot of people in my work hear things like that, and they want to identify themselves as these people who they may have been, or identify themselves as a twin flame to another person. You are not defined by anything that has happened to you before, or by any relationships that you have in this life, and you have the sovereignty to choose who you want to be. You are not bound by anything. And it's really important at this time that we exalt us for who we are in this life, not Maggie, who was Athena in a past life, but Maggie, who is Maggie in this life. And maybe Athena is giving me a little extra boost to be Maggie in this life. It's an important time to kind of cut these cords of identification with things that are external to us, because they take away from who we are at our essence in this life, in this incarnation. And we are special in this incarnation. We are as we are for a reason in this life. So identifying too much with these external things can end up taking away from you if you do it too much. And I totally understand the pull to want to know these things, and it's great to help propel you forward sometimes. But I think it's important to not get lost in those things right now. Not to say that anyone's getting lost in them, but I've definitely fallen into that trap before, and I've seen it happening a bit around me right now as well.
Yeah, and I think the same here on my side. I've seen it where good people who understand how to maneuver in these energies of past experiences, or even the energies of the current groups that they're in, is when they know how to correctly maneuver through them, you can see a lot of growth expansion happen pretty quickly. But when you look at these groups and you see the people in them who are what's the word I want to use? They've lost their self-identity. They lost their self-identity for so long, and they don't know who they are, so they don't have self-worth. And it's like they're on this precipice of having great information and great clarity available to them, but because they don't have the patience, or they lack the patience, and they just want to get from point A to point C, then I see this is where it kind of starts to unravel. And I've seen some really brilliant people on this planet like fall down this rabbit hole. And I think one of the ways that we can help with this is to kind of start educating about how to be more aware of self, and how it's okay to falter at times. It's okay to not know where you're going. But as long as you keep an open mind and you keep looking ahead, I think that you will be okay, as long as you don't blindly assume or follow, or you don't try to be somebody you are not. And this goes as simple as everyday human people just doing the rat race, just, they're in their job. And I know that it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to like get out of it. I understand that completely. But even simple things. So you grow up and you learn like what's kosher and what's not kosher in this world. And you try to fit in the best you can. You try to get your education, get a job, get married, have the kids, do all of that stuff. And then you're like, well, okay, so I have this life, but I don't even really know who I am, or I'm not even really sure how to proceed. And I found this group, and this group is amazing. They make me feel so wonderful about myself. Like I really have a lot of potential, and I can really start to pick out specific pieces of myself, but then they kind of get washed over in the facts. So I think it would be helpful in this case to really talk about the energies, because I think, I don't know, maybe wow, stuttering. Maybe you'll have more to say about this, but I think part of the problem is that people aren't taught about energies in this life. So they don't know how to differentiate what something that feels good, something that makes you nervous, something that makes you unsure. I don't think people have been given the tools in order to do that. And so I think that's probably one place to start. And I think another place to start is to just realize that no matter what you do, no matter who you are, you will always have someone that doesn't like you. It's like, it's just the way it is. And so when you understand that, and you understand that there's probably going to be many that don't like you for standing in your truth, it's an okay thing, because also chances are there's somebody else who is standing in their own truth that matches your truth. So it's more about not just taking responsibility, but having that confidence and that expansion for your growth, where you can look ahead and say, okay, I know this is who I am, and I know it might not fit in with society really well, but there's good things I can do. I can help pick up the planet. I can do all these good things. And along the way, I may join some groups where I find like-minded people. Now, when you're in those groups, that's when you still have to have your energy dials turned up, because even though there's people in those groups that seem to resonate with you, make sure you stay you. Make sure you don't give yourself over to the energy just because it feels really good, because that is one way that those who are in the business of manipulation that we necessarily can't see on a 3D level, that is one way that is super easy to get at us and to throw us off track. And so keep your eyes open and your ears tuned, and it's okay to find people that you resonate with and stay with them for a while and then move on to the next. There's nothing wrong with that. And I know that in the past, I've gotten a lot of automatic writing with my team saying that things are going to change, and don't be afraid if your group falls away, or don't be afraid if you feel different than your group, because everybody grows at different places, at different paces. And so what's coming next for you, as long as you keep going, is going to be better than what was. But you have to have faith, and you have to be resilient, and you have to keep trudging forward in your own path, because nobody else has your path, right?
Right.
So, I don't know, is there something you want to add to my ramblings?
Val commented. I just wanted to check in on that first. She says, yes, I feel so lost sometimes, really struggling to find or know what my purpose and path is. I love animals and work with animals every day, but not sure if that is the path I'm supposed to stay on.
I think that's beautiful. I think it's really important to do what you love. So
yes,
just because you say you love animals and you work with animals every day, but you're not sure if that's where you're supposed to stay. The way I look at it is this: you're doing something that you love. who knows? Something more might come along.
Yes.
Something that might strike your curiosity or might pull you in a different direction. And then all of a sudden you're like, this thing that I love so much, I still like it, but I have this new thing that I'm really interested in. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes people get scared that if they keep pushing ahead, they've already found things that they enjoy doing or that they feel comfortable around. And so it's hard to get out of those energies thinking that what if the next thing I'm on or the next, like, what if I keep walking forward on this path and it forks and I take the wrong fork? There is no wrong fork.
There's no wrong fork.
You know, and I think a lot of people get held back because they worry that the next thing that comes along, that they won't either recognize it or they will recognize it, and then it puts them in a whole new sphere of things that they love, but they're going to have to start that spiral all over. And that's kind of terrifying for people. And I totally understand that. In fact, in Maggie and my personal experiences, we have to start at that spiral all the time. Like, we just get comfortable and they're like, oh, no, we're going to move you over to this spiral slide. And so then we have to start all over. And it can be frustrating and it can be annoying. But at the same time, once you look back, when you keep moving down the spiral, when you're sort of at the end of it, and you look back at all the experiences or thought processes or feelings of like unsureness or frustration that you had, and you're like, oh my goodness, I started here and now I'm here. And I thought it was this like painful journey, but actually I feel really good and I've learned so much about it.
Definitely.
That all of that unsureness and all of that expansion and growth was completely worth it. So what I would say to you, Val, is that keep working with your animals, but just keep your eyes and ears open, because if you're having thoughts of something that you've never, let's just say all of a sudden Val's like, oh, I'm going to try rock climbing. I've never climbed a rock, but I'm going to try it because I had this random thought in my head. Sign up for a rock climbing class and just see if you like it. And that's the only way that is the only way that you can keep propelling yourself forward, is by recognizing and acknowledging the thoughts that come to you, or recognizing the signs that your people are giving you, and keeping an open mind. Because once you close your mind to those possibilities, you're pretty much going to stay in your spiral, and that's what we don't want. So
I would say, just to add a bit of my perspective to that the path of your joy will never let you down. If it doesn't make sense logically, that is fine. You know, the way that our lives are set up, the way we plan them, we're taught that things should make sense logically. It doesn't make sense logically. And if you do the thing that everyone else says is logical, you're going to end up in the same misery that everybody else is in, because so much of our society is meant to keep us trapped in these lower energies and lower densities. In my experience, the energy of joy and excitement is how my guides tell me that I'm on to something good. I'm squarely on my path when I'm excited about something, and I follow that excitement. And you're really into animals, that's your greatest excitement right now. You might meet somebody, when someone in your field or someone that you're working with, who introduces you to the next thing that is for you. And it might have nothing to do with animals, but that's how it works. It's not linear. You follow the joy, and then it sparks the next joy, and then it sparks the next joy, and then it sparks the next joy. The only reason that I channel now is because I used to be really into studying psychology, and I thought that I wanted to be a therapist or something. And through studying therapy, I came across these therapists who talked a lot about the feelings of empathy and being an empath. And from there, I found someone who was talking about Reiki. And then from there, I randomly stumbled upon a channeling class, and now I channel. But just by following these things that were interested, it sparked a joy and excitement in my heart. Now I'm doing the thing, or I'm closer to doing the thing that I'm meant to do than I ever was before. And you'll feel it when you're there. Like, you absolutely know, because it feels exciting and it feels right. And don't let anybody tell you that what feels right to you is wrong in any way, because no one else is going to understand what sparks the joy within you. Just like you're not going to understand what sparks the joy within someone else. Like my fiance, he's into all kinds of things that I don't understand, and I never put him down, even though I really, really don't understand them, because I know that if it brings him joy, then it's putting him on the right path in his life, and I have to trust and have faith in that, just how I trust and have faith that my joy is leading me down the right path too. Does that make sense?
It does completely. And I think that's where a lot of couples fall short. They think that they have to almost meld to become this one person. And so they kind of lose track of like who they are in this process. And I think strong couples still are able to come together in as a couple, as one when they need, but they both have their individual selves that they keep. That they keep. And so while one person may do something else, the other person recognizes that that's their highest joy and makes them happy. And it makes the relationship so much better and so much more loving when you can recognize that you don't want to be the same person. You want to love somebody because they're interesting and they appreciate you for who you are, and you appreciate them for their unique attributes that they have. That's the whole reason you guys got together in the first place, right? So why would you want to erase that and try to do this thing when you do this thing anyway, but you can still keep your individuality? And she said that she wanted to learn to play the violin, and I think that's beautiful. And so let me tell you a little story about when my path went to the violin. So I watched this movie when I was younger called The Red Violin, and it struck a chord with me. And I was like, I'm going to learn to play the violin. And I had already taken piano lessons and all that stuff, or was taking. And I had mentioned it to my parents a couple times, and that was it. Like I didn't think about it. I was like, someday I'm going to learn to play the violin. And for Christmas, a violin showed up underneath the Christmas tree, and I was so excited. And then I found out as a teenager that was going to be a lesson for me, that I wanted this violin. So I got a violin, but I was the one who's going to have to figure out how to make the payments on said violin. And so at the beginning, like I was like, violins are dumb. This is dumb. Why did I want to do this? But I stuck with it, and I learned the best I could. I didn't have a violin teacher, but it really helped me kind of pull in some of those past experiences, which I did play violin with, and have me have a bigger appreciation for those that do play violin. Plus, because I'm not an avid violin player, I do more piano stuff. I've kept it with me through my journey of life. And like, I have amazing friends who do play violin. And so I have loaned it out extensively. It's gone all over the world while my friends are like situating themselves and they didn't have their violins. So it's just a really great experience to not know why I wanted a violin, but then to realize along the way, I helped my musical friends who didn't have their instruments at the time or were moving, and I could send it to them so they can keep up with their musical talents. And I still have it. Maybe one day I'll learn to play it a little bit better. But yeah, do it. I mean, you never know where it's going to lead. Like mine may be collecting dust right now, but who knows the next friend that's going to call and be like, I'm over here and I could really use your violin. Can you send it to me? So, it works. Do it.
Definitely. And your point about you had played violin in the past life, the things that you're excited to start doing are the things that you get really into, that can often help you tap into your past lives if you're trying to figure them out, because the skills that you come in with or the excitements that you come in with can very often lead you back into a past life where you were a master of those things.
Right, exactly. And that's where you have to realize that although you get to, like, if I really practiced, I suppose I could have pulled that when I was a good violinist from that past life into this life to make like practicing a little bit easier. Those are the things you look for when you realize you've connected to the past. So it's important to not want to live in that past, but recognize what that past can do for you in this moment. And when you can learn to pull just those little filament strands and leave the rest behind, that's when you've really mastered the past experiences and what they're supposed to do for you in this experience.
Very well said.
So, do we want to, I'm just looking over my notes. We wanted to leave you today with an energy transmission for your next point of evolution to help you to make conscious and courageous choices with integrity and taking responsibility for yourself. Because the one thing I cannot, again, this is my personal opinion, the one thing that really I still have issues with is when people blame something on you. Like, well, you made me do this, or you did. No, that's not really how it goes. You are in charge of you. You have free will. That's why we're here on this planet. It's a free will planet. You can't be blaming other people for your situation. Like, I've seen this in my own family where, some of my siblings are like, well, I always got the short end of the stick, and that's why I'm here now. And I'm like, no, that's not really how it works. Like, you could have used that, turned it around, and really used it for an empowerment instead of using it to allow it to bury you and use it as a crutch. Like, the choice is yours. And those people that in this world, even in history, the people that were able to take shitty circumstances, turn them around to their benefit, and use them in a responsible way to help them with their growth are the ones who you really see skyrocket and do amazing things in the world. It's those that allow it to bury them and be like, well, this thing happened to me and it is what it is. And like, I blame that, but that's why I'm here. That's not really how it works. So that's one of my little things that really bothers me when I see people not taking responsibility for themselves. It's you got yourself here. So no one else is going to get you where you need to go. You're the one who has to arrange all of those things. Like, if you find someone you want a session with, it's not going to magically happen. You're the one who has to reach out and make the session. If you want to get a book published, like if you just feel you need a book published, well, the book's not going to publish itself. You have to write it, and you have to learn about how the publishing world works. Like, it just, you have to actually take responsibility for yourself. And I think the more you can do that, the quicker your growth will be, because then once you take responsibility, you can see what's out of line, or you can see what you're struggling with, and you can make a conscious effort to take steps to remedy it or move it in a way in which you would like to move it for your next phase.
Right. I totally agree. And I think I've talked to Temple about this a lot of times before. I used to be a person who was very sorry for myself, and all my sadness and pain was everyone else's fault. And, I'd had a lot of bad relationships, and I did not have the most supportive family at times, but I'm certainly not alone in that. I think most people go through something that are similar. And I always remember, what's that quote is, we're not responsible for what happened to us, but we are responsible to heal it. That is our responsibility. And it's daunting, especially if you're someone who is very feeling or someone who has gone through a lot. But the moment that you start to take responsibility for those things and to start taking ownership of your life, knowing that you're in control of how you feel, you're in control of your feelings, you're in control of how you move in the world, the universe will bless you. The universe will thank you for that. If you take the energy of, I'm taking ownership of myself, I want to make something of myself, I want to feel good in the world, and you put out that vibration, the universe will send you things that align to that vibration. If you're just sitting there feeling bad and feeling sorry, you're going to get things that make you feel bad and sorry, because that's the law of attraction, and that's how it works for all of us. None of us are exempt. Yeah. But I have found that when things are hard and I know that I have to push forward and I really don't want to, and I just really want to cry and feel sorry for myself, ask your guides, ask God, ask whoever you connect with the most closely and you feel closely with, say, please give me the energy to get through this. Please give me a sign. Please like give me some whatever boost that I need. Please just be arms that are holding me right now so that I can cry. And when you're feeling those things, it's so important that you don't project them on yourself. You don't blame yourself and you don't blame others. You move through the feeling. It's so important to be able to sit with it, because these feelings of hardship are versions of yourself that were mistreated in the past and felt pain in the past. And every time you get triggered into a similar situation, that pain comes up and up and up again because it hurts, and we just press it down and press it down. But these things come up at hard times when we're trying to take agency. You're like, where's all this pain coming from? I'm just trying to make it in the world. It's just parts of you, in my opinion, that were unloved and are coming up, that they want to be released and they want to be loved. And it's been life-changing for me to, when I'm in that state, to not be like, oh, I'm the worst, I just can't get over this, or oh, my mom is the worst because she did this to me. I say instead, this part of me that is feeling pain, you are valid, I love you, I will let you sit with me for as long as you need to sit with me. Archangel Michael, God, Jesus, please come to me and help me to heal this pain. And the pain is gone so much faster when I do that than when I get mad or I get upset at myself or someone else. And going into the future, I don't feel it again because I have let it go. I don't let those same situations that trigger that feeling, they don't bother me anymore because I'm not holding the feeling within me anymore. This release, especially at this time, is really, really important.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Maggie, I don't know if you remember this, but a number 10 in our topic list when we were talking with Ra at one point was having the difference between having to heal an issue versus letting it fall. And so I'm going to put a little star by that because that's a really good topic, I think.
Yeah.
Where everybody has been taught that you have to do all this work in healing, and sometimes you do. Like, we're not saying you don't have to, like, it's a lot of work sometimes. But then there's other points where just by recognizing and accepting, it just falls away. And so sometimes I think people do a lot of work when they don't, and I'm not sure why this happens. Like, you just feel like it's such a big issue that you have to work through it in a specific way. And that's not necessarily wrong because maybe you're learning something along the way. But there are times where you can just fully accept that it was a part of you at one time, or there was lack or whatever, and it will fall away. And the other times it doesn't. That's when you really need to work through it. Yeah. Val says, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, May.
Oh, no, I think that that's really well said. I think that some things, I mean, I'm a feeler, so I obviously don't speak for everyone. I just feel a lot. But some things I have to feel them really strongly because they're teaching me something, and other things I feel them for a second and then they go. I think the most important thing to release these things we don't want from ourselves, they stay with us when we attach them to things. We attach them to some wrong that we've done, or we attach them to some wrong that someone else has done to us, because then they stay around when we put them on ourselves or want to put them on someone else. But if you can get in the place where you can just let it go, you don't want to attach it to anything, then it will go because now it's unattached from whatever it was before.
Yeah, I remember when you were talking about that, I just remembered for a while I was working with a shaman. And part of it was untangling or giving me the tools to learn how to kind of untangle things from in my energetic sphere, attachments from other people, or in this case, it was like stuff with my best friend who we'd also had numerous experiences with in the past. And it was so interesting because when I was doing that spiritual journey, she had asked me, what do I see? And I said, I don't know. Like, I just see these wings, these really feathery wings, and I don't know why I'm seeing that. And she's like, those are all your she's like, what color are they? And I was like, they're all different colors. And she's like, the specific color here is when you allow something from somebody else's fields to attach to you, and then you carry that around. And so we're going to work on plucking these feathers out, and we're going to work on letting it go. And for me in that moment, I'm getting chills right now just talking about it. For me in that moment, it was such a big deal because you don't realize all these small things that come into your field that make up who you are in this moment, that is relied upon.
Yes.
Specifically by other people's feathers. And so when she was plucking these feathers out, I was crying. And I was like, this is really painful. Why does this have to be so painful? This totally sucks. And then it took me a couple days to kind of recalibrate from that, but I did feel a lot better. And I learned something about my personal energy, and it was something I hadn't realized before. And so maybe by telling you guys this story, if you can visualize your arms or visualize wings attached to you and see how many different colors of feathers, and see if, you know, there's a specific color of feather that is other people's crap that you don't need anymore, you know, pluck them out and you might see a difference in how you feel.
Definitely.
So,
I've done similar exercises before. I've never had them look like feathers before. They've looked like all kinds of things, like knives or cords. It depends on, I guess, what the attachment is. But if you can, even if you're not a visualizer and you feel into your body and you ask, where are these attachments that other people have on me? Most of the feelings that we don't like are generally in our abdomen. And that's where I've learned to identify a lot of places where other people's energy is attached to me, because it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel how I want it to feel. So ask where people have attachments to you and where you have a physical feeling. It might feel like sadness, anger, betrayal. It's just something icky. That's likely where someone has an attachment to you. And you can call an Archangel Michael, or you can make a sword in your hand and you say, I'm going to cut these attachments now. I return the energy to its sender. I call back my own energy to me, and you'll feel better after it, just like what Temple said.
yeah. And it sounds really simple. Like Maggie and I sit here and we're like, all you have to do is like, imagine this sword. And like, but it's simple when you believe in yourself, you trust that you're actually getting help, and you fully expect these things to be removed. If at any time you're doubting or you're feeling like, I don't know if this is going to really work, like, belief is 99.9% of like the process of healing. So when you guys are working on this, that belief is actually belief in yourself, that you have the tools to be able to maneuver and take care of it. And so while it sounds like we're just saying, you know, take a sword and like cut those things, it works if you're in the right space to do it. And I don't know, I just felt like that had to be said, because I don't want people being like,
you're definitely
oh,
right.
these girls, they just take swords and they just cut it away. That's not really how it works, but it does when you're consciously working on yourself and consciously recognizing things that need to be.
Yeah, you can't do it haphazardly, like, oh, I'm just going to casually cut away these cords. No, it's intentional. You're working with your own energy in this, and you're intending for things. The strength of your intent and the strength of your belief, you know, they are kind of the masters of your energy field. What you believe sticks around, and that's who you are. And that's just, and the strength of your intention to change those beliefs or change the way that your energy is set up is very, very important. And I've definitely done cord cuttings with people before, and I'm like, why does this cord keep coming back? Like, it's just here again and here again and here again. Because I kept reattaching it. I kept being mad at that person. And then I'm sending my energy out thinking about this betrayal or whatever. And the cord is reattaching because I feel this bad feeling for this person. And that's a cord. You have to be really committed to wanting to cut the cord for it to stay cut and for your energy to be at peace in the way you want it to. You have to have a discipline over your mind as well, because the thought will bring it back. And then you'll have to do it all over again until you can get your mind disciplined enough to release that belief that you have.
Right. And that's one of those things with kind of connecting the mind into the heart as well. So like, I think it's harder when you're stuck just in the human brain, because the human brain just letting itself run like that can be a very dangerous tool to have, because if it's not connected in with the heart, that's when you get all these things fed to you that like, oh, like this isn't working, you're not worthy, blah blah blah. When it's connected in with your heart and you have an idea of your self-worth and you feel like you are really wanting to work on this and trusting and loving those things that you hated or that have been a burden to you, that's when it's going to work. So it's important to have those connected. Oh, hey, Solar. It's nice to see you. Val says, I hear these med beds are supposed, she asked, what do you two ladies know about med beds? And I said, I think I know the basics. And then she said, I hear the med beds are supposed to heal diseases, physical and emotional trauma as well.
I don't know anything about those.
I guess I'm not up on my med bed stuff, but I don't know. Like, I would say that if a person feels like they hear that these med beds are supposed to do that, and they end up in a med bed and they're like, well, this med bed is going to cure everything, and they really believe that, it probably will, because that's what you're putting your faith in, and that's what you're believing this med bed is healing. And so it probably will. So I guess I can't really speak to like the scientific portion of it, but the mind is an amazing thing. You can get your body to heal all sorts of stuff with your mind. And this is one of those things, actually, Maggie, probably something we haven't talked about, but this is one of those things that Ramses was on a rampage with for a while, where he was very adamant about learning. So like the Anunnaki were the ones who made us in like this form, right? So learning all the little maneuvers and tricks and things that the Anunnaki actually put into your system to make you into your human body, to make you less, like, everybody thinks we're so constricted, and that the human body is something that kind of holds us back. But according to Ramses, like, if you know how to use your brain, there's like portions we don't use, a lot of portions a lot of people don't use. If you know how to use it and you know what to do to call on your body to do it, the body is actually pretty amazing, and it can do all kinds of things that us humans just don't really understand yet, but it's all like locked in with what was all put into the physicality of the body.
It would be interesting to channel about that at some point.
I know. I don't know. It would be I'll have to have a conversation with them and be like, are you ready to like go live? Can you imagine how that would go?
I think he does well in front of crowds.
Yeah, except when people ask him about like specifics about how they heal something or how they need to fix it, and he's like, I don't know. Everybody just does these things for me. I don't have to do them.
Well,
I say that with love. I say
informational.
So I think that would be a really interesting topic at some point. I know like just even looking back on this, we have a lot of really great topics listed, and we'll have to see kind of where we're going to go from there. So do you want to continue this, or should we do our energy?
Let's do our energy. I feel like the spirit of water is going to do some language. I don't know who you have, but I know a lot of people I feel like I say this every time we meet, but I guess it's been a very like chaotic spring and summertime, where each week you think it's the craziest it's ever going to get, and then it just amps up the next week. So I know a lot of people are going through a lot of purgy, cleansey, releasey stuff right now, myself included. I've been crying and screaming constantly to get all of this energy out. And that's a good thing. If you feel like you have to cry and scream, please do it, because it will help you get it out in a way that it wants to come out. But I think the energy of water wants to come through and like help to wash away some of these things for you guys if you're feeling heightened or stressed in any way. So if you would picture the energy of water, yourself floating on top of the ocean, water rushing over you, coming through you, I think that's how she wants to come through today in this kind of healing way. She's saying salt water to me, because I guess salt is very healing. So that's the energy that she wants to give to you guys today. I don't know if you have anything on your side.
Yeah, as you were talking, Air was like, and then I'm going to come in afterwards, and I'm going to bring in a breath of fresh air so we can help clear some of this stuff out, and we can start fresh. And then it's like, now remember, it's all in the mindset of all the individual humans, how they want to receive this, and if they allow the clearing to happen. But if they do, if they allow the emotions to roll off and they allow this new breath of fresh air to come in, they can have a really good, what did they say? A really good foundation to build off of. And then I don't even know, what is air? Air is, and whoever it is, the it's not really a he or she, it'd be the element, I guess, was talking about how with the, I don't know what's coming up, some solstice,
Summer solstice.
something about how this transmission, if allowed, will build a foundation for what the solstice is going to bring in. And I know nothing. I mean, I have been, as you guys know, I've been on vacation. So I've been visiting all kinds of cool places out west and hugging a lot of trees and stuff. So I am not up on the latest solstice information. But yeah, so apparently this will be important for your solstice journeys as you guys go forward.
Beautiful.
So,
I tried to ask about the solstice, and at least to me, they haven't been revealing too much, I think, because they don't want to set up too many expectations. But I have a feeling that it's going to be something important, but at least in my field, it's been kind of withheld what's going to actually happen. So I'm not sure.
I feel that on so many levels, though. It just seems like I'm hoping the solstice is going to finalize everything and allow the new to start, because even with being on vacation, it's like when I don't even know how to make this sound correct, but when you have a specific world around you and you live in that world and you are confident in your world, like my world is like being connected to my people so I can just ask questions and stuff. But then like that changes and they're like, no, you need a break. So like, we're just going to cut everything off while you're on vacation. It's a weird feeling. And I'm hoping that after this whole solstice, things can go back to normal. So, oh no, did you freeze?
Am I frozen? Please say I'm not.
Oh, you're.
Oh, okay.
So
Not again.
Before we start this energy transmission, let me explain to you what happens. So like anytime Maggie does some other thing by herself on Zoom, it tends to be fine. If I do something else on Zoom, it tends to be fine. If we're just gonna we rarely get to just talk. We're always working. But the moment we need to work, they won't let us through on Zoom. Or the moment we're gonna go live with you guys, they won't let us through. Like there's always something that happens whenever actual work needs to get done. And so we've called an extra protection again tonight to be able to, it seems like that's just the norm lately.
It is, only with me and you. I hope that they hold us through this time, because the last couple, I'm not even gonna put that energy out there. It's gonna go great and it's all gonna go through.
Exactly, that's good. I like that. All right, so energy transmission. I'm gonna just look this up because I find this is very interesting. It's the card. So when we were talking about this, and I was pulling cards, Maggie and I knew we were going to do an energy transmission anyway because that's what we were mostly called to do today. But the card came through energy transmission from Arcturus parallel. So I just want to look that up really quick because I would be guessing that the Arcturians are actually going to be helping out with this in some way, seeing that was the card that came out. What number? 10. Oh, and 10 is an ending and a beginning. So that actually is perfect for what the elements of air and water were talking about. Okay, so I'm just going to read this. I know me reading is probably kind of boring, but I'm going to do it anyway. So Arcturus energy has guided humanity since its very early inception, but its guidance is subtle. It often guides through gentle energy transmissions. Often this energy transmission comes through the healing arts, like Reiki and other forms of hands-on healing. Because Arcturus polarities are totally balanced, it usually circumvents the mind when working with humans. Oh, that's so interesting because we were just talking about that.
Yes.
About circumventing the mind and bringing in with the heart. Okay. If you pulled this card, then the Arcturus energy wishes to work through you in a quiet space. Open your palms and focus on the energy sensations there. Ask for the transmission, and the energy is going to be familiar to you from ancient times. Because the Arcturian energy is so pure in essence, and so connected to our true state of being, it can assist us on earth plane in many ways. It often is channeled through hands-on healing techniques and without words, is transmitted from one human to another through love and touch. Again, this is one reason why it is so profound component of midwifery. That is something else that's been in your and my scope lately. It's often the first energy channeled through by new channels. Healing practitioners often get the cards in their readings as a validation of their art. If you have received this card in your reading, it's important to look at the peripheral circumstances to which it can be applied. It may be acknowledging your healing. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So go deep within to find what it is telling you. It could also be referring to channeling abilities that have yet to be expressed. Okay. And then it says, you will receive this transmission to know that by receiving this transmission and knowing that the transmission can come in words through simple, pure, and loving energy.
Oh, that's perfect. I was always told that I have Arcturian roots, and you reading that, I can feel them around. So maybe they're going to work with the water in the air. And also when you were talking about healing med beds before, I know that the Arcturians have these like etheric healing chambers.
They have like med beds.
Yeah.
On Earth. Oh, we're talking about two different things. You talk about yours first.
So I was just, if you can't get to the med beds on Earth, which I don't know who can,
Okay.
but if you can, then you're very lucky. I did a meditation years ago. If you guys know Steve Noble, he does a lot of wonderful, immersive, kind of visionary, vision questy kind of meditations to help you heal stuff or help you connect with guides or whatever. And he has one for the Arcturian healing chambers, and it's a really, really good meditation. So if you're looking for that kind of experience, but you can't make it to a physical med bed, it's pretty cool. You kind of transport yourself up into the ships and ask the Arcturians to work on you. And I felt really good after having done it. So that is an option if you're looking for something like that.
Yeah, that's a really great one, because I don't even know that, so I will have to look that up myself. The other one that while Maggie was talking that I remembered was that in specific places on Earth, supposedly there are like galactic med beds. Now, whether normal humans can get in on those or not, I'm guessing probably not, but where they do healing. And so, yeah, that's funny. I forgot about that. So that is what I have to say about that. There are some pretty amazing, so I've heard, galactic med beds here on Earth, but it is not like it's meant for everybody. And that's part of what, so like, when I haven't talked about this in a while, but like when I come on and I'm like, oh, I'm sitting in these meetings, these galactic government meetings, and that's part of like what we talk about. We talk about bringing the health down to Earth, or the Earth up to the ship. So site to site, I forgot what we call it. Site to site medical attention. We talk about these things, trying to work this out about how once this is something that's not happening yet, but it's pending, I guess. Trying to work together to allow like different types of healing on this planet, because there's a lot of things that can simply, like I have a chipped tooth from too many bobby pins that my grandma warned me about. If they could just beam me up, they could fix that chipped tooth. It's not that big of a deal. But like to me down here, it's a big deal, and I hate looking at it. But there's a lot of things that they could actually fix, but we can't here on Earth. There was a law enacted in the 1970s, which states that before this, it was like 1976 or something. Before this law, if you were like an actual galactic being here, meaning that you came here on a ship, you had the opportunity to leave. And if you left, you weren't allowed back. If you stayed, you weren't allowed off the planet. So since the 70s, you had to make that choice. And we are not allowed to leave the planet. Now, is that always the case? No. In the Super Soldier program, you leave the planet. But like they don't. I had this discussion once in a galactic meeting, and like our world government doesn't consider that breaking the rules, because they consider that like in a different contract. Mm-hmm. So and they denied it too, because I remember this one time where I was like, well, this is ridiculous because I've been off planet numerous times, and they're like, well, not as your human self. And I said, oh yes, I have. And then they're like, well, we don't have any records of that. I was like, well, maybe you should check on the super soldier program. And they're like, well, we don't acknowledge that. And I was like, oh, I see how this goes. So in any case, I'm really rambling here, but I don't even know where I was going. So there are discussions taking place as far as like healing and how we can all work together and stuff. And it's a long process. And usually, one side wants something that the other side is not willing to give. And that's why things are taking so long. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So our transmission today is we're going to have help from the Arcturians. We're going to have help from water and air. And it's for your next point of evolution to make conscious and courageous choices that you take responsibility for and with integrity to find the new path for your given unique missions and your given unique path on Earth, and to bring in the potential for your new birth. So you can accept this. You don't have to accept it. It's completely up to you. Do you want to ground in together?
Yeah. Do you want to do a grounding? They're not telling me. They're saying that because these are elemental, they're going to be grounding.
Okay.
Are you feeling we need to ground?
I'm gonna put my feet on the floor. And that way we're good no matter what. So if you guys want to join in, remember how we just was reading about the hand thing? Put your feet flat on the floor and then put your hands up so we can all co-create together.
Yeah, maybe just take the time to take a few of those big belly breaths that we've been talking about. Just expand it to its fullest expansion, really let yourself breathe bigly and deeply in and out, really luxuriate in your breath for a few breaths. It's very good for centering. If I cut out at all, can you please tell me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Ooh, water is very nice and strong. Okay. You were right, Temple. The Arcturians are here too. I feel them. They're like really tall. Ayasi turisi tunu mayasati sunu kiasa sunu mayasata dayan sisa yusunu siya sunu si hala sono mayasi buyusi na asasi buyusi ayasasi noro no mosiaya durea sasiraya sinsayasi busayasa molosoti siti simiea layasa tu sunomaya siaya heya sinomayanta anta sisunasi usunea masitu ia siea usia sunu misati yesa puro yesa nisaya sono misaya sitiki yana misaya sinayata isi tono easa basati easa dindayasa nuiaya nantasa duraya namaste.
Sasaya sanaso shana sakushunias. Washakan si shasias. Sasaya sanaya sanayata. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Sasayata. Whoosh, sayata sana. Musa papush yasayana. Whoosh, yasa. Whoosh, yasa yasha. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Masaya sana. Masaya saya sanayata. Yasa whoosh. Sasa 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 sasa. Muskuloshatyaskataya. Asasaya taya sanakyo kopoto shuku moto muya naya sakayato koshikianaya putokuya nasanayata poshu kua pataya sakuputo mosho kua sapaya satayaka lupatuna siktia poshaya kusania nia nanaya unu koshikia sakatiata kia nananaskata poshatia sakatiata. Namaste. Do you feel like, I feel like I keep hearing, I don't know if anyone has anything to say, but I keep hearing, it's very interesting. They're saying, wait, what were you saying? No, I shouldn't have interrupted. Hang on just one second. I think I'm hearing something like, we are the Arcturians and we are pleased that you are invoking the elements, for the elements have almost as much power as love. The elements are the second most powerful thing on your planet, second most powerful, what do you want to call that? Force is good. They're saying for they can grow, they can destroy, they can make something out of nothing. They can combine their forces to clear. They can combine their forces to grow. They can combine their forces to start new life. It's really a co-creation or a symbiotic relationship to learn to work with these forces. For these forces are innately special to the people of this planet, and they once worked in tandem with them. This knowledge has been forgotten, but we are pleased that you are bringing this forward and hopes that this has now set a strong foundation to clear away that which is unwanted, that which is old, in order to allow a new setting, breaking a new ground for what is to come. For it is of the utmost importance that you humans learn to allow that which does not serve you to drop from your energetic sphere and to drop from your bodily selves in order to progress into the next phase of the evolution on this planet. We are the Arcturians. We are pleased with your progress. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. They won't let me put my hands down, so my hands are frozen here. They have more energy they want to send, I guess. And I also wanted to say, if there is one of you in particular or several of you who are listening who are struggling with headaches, the Arcturians had their hands on your heads directly to help you ease the pain of your headaches. I saw that in my mind. They had me move my hands like as if over your head or heads. So if you're struggling with headaches or pain in the head, the Arcturians are with you and they're helping you with that right now.
I was while we were doing this, before the Arcturians came through, before you started and we were working on our breathing, I saw this mountain, but it was like it was almost like a very kind of like shaped like that. Like when you think of like a Christmas tree, right? How it's like pointy on top, but the point was like shaved off. So it wasn't like Devil's Tower. It was more mountainy than Devil's Tower, but like it did have that flat point on top. Anyway, there was also jagged stuff. Like if it was a circle on top, there was jagged stuff around the edge of the circle. And there were beings up there. I don't know if they were human. They kind of walked around like they were human, but I don't know. It was almost like a gathering of people. And then this water bubbled up from the top. It's so interesting to me. So it there was no water on top in this big circle. And then everybody moved to the side. And then this water bubbled up and it went over the edge as like this big waterfall. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, so what are we doing? And then the next thing I knew, I was like sliding down this waterfall. But
Whoa.
while I was sliding down it, the sun and the breeze or the air, I guess, caught myself and remember how we're dealing with those water fractal things? Yeah. We're trying to understand those. It caught like the shimmering of the water coming off of I don't even know how to explain it, but like when the water molecules you have the. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was turning those into like fractalized portions of like glass almost. And the wind, and it was like shooting these rainbows through it. And the wind was like scattering them around. And it was really interesting. And they went like everywhere. So I don't know. I don't know, but that's what I saw. So, Yes.
I wish I had a good interpretation for that, but
I know. I'm not sure what the people were doing on top. Like, did they ride the waterfall down too? I'm not really sure. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is what they just told me. They said the people on top of the mountain were the people who are listening now or will listen in the future. They're stressing now, but it would be also in the future. And they were taking part in the waterfall thing. So I guess everybody got to go down the waterfall, which is very cool. So whether you're listening now or in a future now, enjoy your waterfall ride. So yes. All right. So with that, we are going to sign off today, and we will be back next week with like regular scheduled programming. So we hope, we assume, and we'll be back. We're not sure what our topic is yet. Do you know when the solstice is?
it's this weekend, the 20th, I think. Either the 20th or the 21st. I should know this, but I forgot. It's on a Sunday, so it's the 20th.
Okay, so by next Wednesday, it will be all over, and we will be in a new now.
Yay.
And then we can jump back in. So many blessings to all of you who have joined us over our last 6 episodes. Thank you for hanging in there with us while we skipped a week. And we love you very much. And thanks again for tuning in, and we will talk to you later.